Kevin Youkilis won a ring in '04 and then again in '07. Joins us early morning California time. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Good morning. Beautiful morning here. We got sunshine finally.
In rainy Northern California, I would imagine, and before we get into what you're doing on NESN and the beer business and the rest of your life now, I would imagine it never gets old watching the final out of a World Series that you won. Am I right about that?
Oh, never. I mean, that the pile, just all the guys getting excited, hugging each other. I mean, you live for that moment because, what comes before that is a grind. I mean, it's a grind from the day one you show up to spring training and you're with each other. And there's so many things that happen, especially when you play in Boston, too. There are so many stories that get put out there and you have to diffuse. And, Mikey understands it more than anyone, too. I mean, there's a lot of emotion. And that's one of the beauties of playing in Boston is all the emotional roller coaster ride. And then once you get that last pitch and that final out, I mean, it is just heavenly.
Yeah, it's beautiful when you win. The other way might not be so tough. But so it was announced you're doing a lot more games for NESN with the Red Sox. How's that commute going to be?
So I'm doing 75 games this year.
Nice.
So that's it's 25 more than I did last year. So I have 4 more. It's on average about 4 more games a month. So it's definitely going to be a little bit of a commute. Hopefully I get a couple West Coast games in here and there. But Mikey, we know the grind. We know how to fly. We've been through that trek of going back and forth. So I'm just very fortunate to have a great wife that allows me to do this, and she's the one that actually pushed me to do it. I don't know if she's trying to get me out of the household.
Get more games. Get more games. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, do you run into any Red Sox fans when they see you and be like, "Oh, you played for the Yankees"? Are they?
Oh yeah. There's some people that are still angry with me.
That's good.
They're still angry with me. They still hold on to this grudge, and they're like, he's the best one is when they say traitor, but they spell it wrong. That's always my favorite one when I get that message. But yeah, there's some people that are still upset with me, and I say, hey guys, I got traded. I didn't have a choice. I would love to have came back, but they didn't want me back. And you know me, Mike. Yeah, I don't like losing. I hate losing. So I had to go to some team, and I only had 2 other options, and they were in rebuild mode. So I got to win, and that's the way I've always lived my life and the way I play the game.
Matty, we're talking to a guy who, when you say you wear your emotions on your sleeve, on your at-bats, you epitomized it. I mean, not only did it come with hard work, but, 2 for 3 lines out. It's, So this is intense, man. I get it, man. He wants to win every day. The beer business is probably pretty intense for him as well, right?
I remember seeing Uke as a White Sox, and things weren't going great for him at the time in the clubhouse. A guy that was always friendly, and you had a look on your face that day in the clubhouse that was like, don't come over here. And I can read that pretty well. So I get that. But you know what I want to ask you, Uke, before we get into the beer business, because you went to school in Cincinnati. You're from that part of the world. You live in California now. You made a living in Boston, and you still work there. With your experience geographically in our country, how can you describe for somebody that's never met a Red Sox fan the mindset of the fan base there and what makes it so different and why it's the case? I mean, maybe you have some perspective on that for us.
Well, I'll tell you, the only word to describe it is emotional. Like, it is every day. I mean, they are super intense. And for somebody like myself, like I just said, is intense. Like when I play, people are always like meet me outside of baseball, and they're like, man, you're a lot different than you are on the field. I'm like, yeah, that was my job. That was my profession. I had to go out there and grind it out. And that was just my mindset. And that's the fans of Boston. They love the Red Sox. It's kind of changed a little bit. You got the Patriots that have gained a lot of steam over the years, but they still love the Boston Red Sox. And all they really want you to do is put forth an effort. So when I tell young guys, I'm like, listen, play the game as hard as you can, hustle, just hustle, get dirty, do all the little things. That's what they love in Boston. They love the blue collar, attitude. So if you can apply that blue collar attitude every day, you will have Red Sox Nation fall in love with you.
It's a good answer. I like that. I'll buy that. So hit us with the beer business, man. And we're wondering who's going to mind the shop when you're in the middle of like a 20-game stretch of Red Sox games.
Well, yeah, luckily, technology is so good now where I can, do all the numbers, see what's going on, a lot of good communication between our team. But my partner in this is Dan Reineke. He's the general manager of this. We were college teammates at the University of Cincinnati. We joke around. He was a pitcher. So we always joke around about all this stuff. He always brings up how he threw 9 2/3 innings at Kentucky. I still can't believe he did that. But he's the man in charge when I'm gone. And he runs the ship. He's in the service industry, like part of it. I'm in the going to get investors. We got a new project going in Manteca, California, right next to a place called Big League Dreams. There's 6 replica Major League fields. And so we're going to open up a new facility out there that is going to be pretty cool. Not only for that town of Manteca, but for all the travel ball parents that have been looking for a destinational spot to take your team for, some food, and also to relieve all these parents that, their kid goes 0 for 4, they think the college scholarship's, over. So we're there to help them ease their minds. They're a Loma Brewing Company in the future.
You can soothe their sorrows and bring them back to reality. So Yuke, are you like, when you go to a restaurant, are you a beer snob now? Are you like, oh, this is terrible. I can't believe they're serving this. Like, how do you evaluate other restaurants' beer now?
Well, I always say this, like being an owner of a brewery and having a head brewer, they have feelings, right? So they have feelings too. So you can't hurt the feelings, right? So you always try to say like, this is a good beer. I like it, but you don't want to talk openly about how bad it is, unless it's like skunk beer or oxidized beer. Luckily the technology is getting better. So you go across to a lot of different breweries, and there's a lot of great beer out there. I try not to be too pretentious. My mindset, we have a saying called humbly brewed, fan approved. We stay simple, and I try to stay simple, and I don't try to, look down upon other breweries. But my whole goal is to try to collaborate with other breweries, learn from them. But for me personally, I don't drink as much beer as I used to, but I always love to go sample. So I'm always there going to get the tasters, getting a flight or a half pint. And I just really enjoy a good hoppy beer. So when you go out there and get a hoppy beer, meaning an IPA, a pale ale, those styles of beer I tend to go to just because there's so much flavor in there, and to really appreciate all these great, craft brewers around the country.
Uke, we appreciate the visit, man. Thanks for getting up early out west. Continued success in the beer business. Looking forward to seeing you at the ballpark at Fenway, and we're glad to hear you bid off a bigger number of games on NESN. Going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Happy New Year.
Thanks for joining us on the stove. I was going to ask Uke about the Hall of Fame. We can get him on the program a little bit later on. He's going to be busy this year, man.
It's a lot of games. You know what? If the Red Sox don't get off to a good start, he's going to have to fill in a lot of innings.
He's good, though.
He is good. He's very good.
Because he's fun to listen to.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to kind of speak your mind. And sometimes when you toe the line too much as a day-to-day color guy, it's hard. It gets a little stale. So he does a real good job.
Yeah. Let's take a break. Lauren has a game lined up for us. We have not done well with the games this week, I must admit. And I sense a